Alana Jaylo.
Yes.
We had just brought up A Confederacy of Dunces, and you asked when it was written.
Yes.
Sometime in the 1960s, but it didn't get published until 1980 because of the author's death. Yes.
Okay.
But you enjoyed it too.
It was interesting. It was very funny, but very interesting.
We got talking about it because I've been having some issues with gas. And so we were starting to discuss the valve.
The valve, yes, the valve. And we can only speculate that what was implied in the book is that, what's his last name? Ignatius Wright, excuse me.
Riley is his last
Riley,
name.
I'm
His
sorry.
full name is Ignatius Jock Riley. Go ahead.
Ignatius J. Riley. Yes. We don't know what the J is for.
No, it's for Jock.
Jock? Oh, yeah. Jock, yeah.
Because remember when he's in the hospital, he reads a newspaper article about his exploits at the Night of
that's
Joy.
right.
And it says
Jock.
Ignatius Jock. Yeah.
Okay. So Ignatius Riley, we can only speculate that the valve implies that he's got some major bowel issues.
Yes.
And it needs to be released. It needs to be opened. Enough said. I think we said enough.
Yes. I had trouble sleeping last night because of gas stuff. And at one point, we heard something fall
in
from
the
your
closet.
bedroom closet. But we didn't know what it was because the lights were off.
Well, and then I go back in there later on, and it turns out that it was one of my bags that was on the closet shelf. And I was like, oh, that's what it was. Okay. But yeah, I really wish that these closets were walk-in closets. I would love that because it would have so much more space and so much more shelf space, and it would be wonderful.
I had a walk-in closet when I first moved to Denver, Colorado in 2006. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, the last time I had a walk-in closet was when I was living in military housing in Hawaii with my family, and I had my bedroom had this pretty good-sized walk-in closet, and it had a lot of shelf space, and I loved it. It was really cool. I could actually fit inside the closet.
That's great.
It was great. I can fit inside it now, but there's not a lot of leg room in there.
You'd be cramped pretty tight.
Yes, I would. I would have to literally roll myself into a ball or be ball-like and lie in the fetal position the whole time,
Yeah.
Because I'm tall and slender, and it doesn't feel comfortable if you're trying to scrunch yourself up there.
That's true, babes.
Yeah, as you are tall and slender.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could be more slender, but
yeah, that's okay. You're not a big guy.
No.
We are not big people, by the way.
No, you're not. I could stand to lose a few pounds, but
oh, okay.
Yes.
Apparently, I'm losing quite a bit.
Oh.
I mean, not losing a bit, but I've lost quite a bit, which is fine with me.
That's good, babes.
I could use a little meat on my bones, apparently.
I think you look good. I love you just the way you are, babe.
I love you just the way you are. It's a great Billy Joel song.
Do you
just
know
the
that
way you are. Yeah.
joke that Sam Kinison says?
What?
How to ruin a man's life?
Oh, because by saying I like you just the way you are?
No. The Kinison bit is, if a woman wants to marry a man's life, marry him and put on a lot of weight. But don't do it all at once. Put on like 5 pounds a year. And then 10 years into their marriage, he realizes that you're 50 pounds heavier than you were when you got married.
Well, I heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard that when couples get married, they tend to start to gain weight together. Like, because if they're cooking together, especially, they start gaining weight together, and they were like 50 pounds heavier than when they first met each other. I don't know. I
could kind of see that. I do wonder how many couples actually cook together, because it seems these days it's more about the takeout.
I would love to marry someone that I could cook with.
Yes.
I think I've always had that dream of marrying someone that I could cook with in the kitchen, so I'm not left with all the cooking work, or he isn't left with all the cooking work. And It's just a dream of mine that I've had.
Nice, babes.
Also, a dream of mine would be getting married in Hawaii, but,
Yes.
Who knows if that's going to happen? I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, I'm one step closer. I mean, maybe not one step closer, but you have connections to Hawaii, and I was born and raised there for most of my childhood, so it's kind of cool.
Anything could happen, babe.
Anything could happen, yeah.
It's always been my dream, after my first wife dies, to get remarried at the age of 100.
100.
To a nice 22-year-old.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
What?
I mean, she's going to look at you and be like, you're way older than my grandpa.
She might be into that, babe.
That's just gross. Well, by the time you're 100, I don't know if you would be thinking about women. You probably would be like, I'm too old.
This is a dream, babe.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, thinking about it, if it were to actually happen, which would be kind of funny, but that's a little bit weird.
Oh. Yes. We had this assignments.
Yes.
In school to write a fake obituary.
That's got to be weird.
It was either that or my teacher brought up the possibility.
Of doing a fake obituary?
Yeah, and he tells me this as we're walking back from the park. It's just me and him.
Okay.
I say, yeah, my obituary, I'm going to die at 98, and my 22-year-old wife will be very sad.
Was he laughing?
Yeah, he thought. Yes.
Ah, yes, she'll be a regular Hugh Hefner.
That's right.
Except Hugh Hefner had all the money and never married any of the women. Well,
he did. He was married twice.
Okay, so he married Kimberly, his wife.
Before then, prior to Playboy starting, I think he was married. So I haven't seen this, but apparently there's some documentary series about Playboy on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And one of my friends watched it.
Yeah.
According to her, she said that Hugh Hefner's first wife cheated on him. And the documentary makes it sound like that's why he created this outlandish personality.
Yeah, that can't be the reason.
It's an interesting story, though.
That can't be the reason. But I heard that I think his wife's name was Kimberly at the time or something.
She was a Mormon.
His first wife?
No, his second wife.
His second wife was a Mormon?
That's what I heard.
That's interesting. But I don't know which wife was Kimberly, but
that was the second wife.
Okay, there was another one that he almost married. She was like one of his girlfriends, but really, really young. Her name was like Crystal something.
That was one back, yeah.
And she was like 24, and they were going to get married, but I don't think it happened.
I wonder what his final years were like.
Oh yeah, and then not to mention Holly Madison. You heard of Holly Madison?
No.
Holly Madison was one of his famous girlfriends who was with him for like 5 years, I think. And she's around my age. She wasn't as young as like the 20-somethings, but she was around my age.
What do you think of his final years are like? Do you think he was just having sex like crazy? Do you believe he was depressed?
Well, you know how you hear about rich people that are super rich, but they're super lonely, and even though they have all the girls and all the stuff and the mansion and whatever.
Yes.
I kind of see it the opposite. I wonder if he was really depressed. He wasn't as happy as he seemed to be. Because
he was trying to fill the void with all these material comforts.
Exactly. You could still do that, but I think there's a way to do that where you have some of the comforts, but you also know what to do with your money, and you make wise choices about what you want to do with those things. I don't know.
Do you think there were happy years in his life after he became successful?
Possibly, but I wonder if they were just happy for a little while, and then I would imagine that when Holly Madison left him, he wasn't particularly happy.
He was like 90 then, right?
I think he was in his 80s or close to it. He was an old guy. He was like an old, crotchety, crusty. Ugh.
I don't think he was crotchety.
Okay, not crotchety, but a dirty old man, pretty much. That's how I've seen him. And a lot of his girlfriends have left. Holly left. His one girlfriend, Kendra, left and got married to somebody else. And I don't know. I would imagine that every time a girl left his mansion, I would imagine it was just like, okay, this is not good.
Especially near the end.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if he really was lonely and depressed, but outwardly it looked like he had everything.
It's possible, babes.
All the movies that you could want as far as like adult-centered movies, I guess.
Well, not only that, he was a big film fan. A lot of people don't know this. In the 1970s, he financed, I believe, a version of King Lear.
Well,
he tried to start like an actual legit movie studio.
I mean, I only imagine that there was more like adult-centered stuff in his mansion, but I wonder if there was like, there had to be other movies if he was like a big movie fan.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there were.
I heard that in the mansion they had like feature film, like they had like a theater in there or something.
And they would have these film nights.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I heard that. Yeah. It's kind of odd.
Have you ever read any of the anthologies of the Playboy interviews?
No, but you told me you did, right?
I've read one of them, and I was considering buying one actually earlier this week. I think it's called like the Assassin's Interviews, and it's different interviews with killers. So like I think they interviewed James Earl Ray. They got to talk to Mark David Chapman.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. What about Charles Manson?
It's possible he was in there.
I told you about the... forgive me if I'm repeating myself, because I know that we both repeated ourselves to each other, but I think I saw this one thing on... I forgot what channel it was. It was like a long time ago, maybe 10 plus years ago, and there was an interview with Charles Manson. And even up to that day that I heard this recording that he was interviewed, he still denied that he did anything wrong.
He's a very nutty guy.
He's a very nutty guy. He was also, he wasn't raised right by his mother. I mean, terrible upbringing, it sounds like. Completely rambunctious kid. I can only imagine. Didn't you say his name was supposed to be No Name Maddox?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you want me to share my Charles Manson story?
You did already.
Here?
I don't think
I did here.
I don't think we need to know that.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay. I thought it was kind of funny, but...
I already know what it is.
And you don't think it's that good?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's a little bit funny, but kind of creepy at the same time.
That's what she said.
It is. I would agree. That would be the...
No, literally, the girl in the story said that.
I will say this. If I ever met this person, that would probably be the only thing I agreed with her on. Or maybe... Yeah.
Yes. Babe.
Yes.
We watched some DS9 episodes.
Oh, yes, we did.
These were kind of boring, you thought, or no? What do you think?
I never thought it was boring at all. I thought they were pretty heavy, but they were good.
Good. I'm glad you like them. Do you want to talk about the first one? Give an overview, or would
yes,
you like...
I will give you as much of an overview as possible.
And then I'm going to do It's Only a Paper Man.
Okay.
You do the first one. So
basically, they're still in the war. We're saying we know that they are still at war with the Dominion. Correct?
Yes.
So, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't it start? Tell me exactly how this starts again.
I believe they are heading to give supplies to a group of Federation officers who are stationed on this planet in disputed territory. Right.
And they're on this planet. They've been on this rock for 5 years? It is
5 months, and they're supposed to be switched out every 3 months. But because the resources are so slim due to the war, they haven't been transferred out.
And they've pretty much been starving to death, but they're trying to make that. Well, the one soldier named Vargas is really starting to
come loose,
and it in the episode, it's pretty clear that he's already suffered from PTSD.
We should also say maybe that there were supposed to be 150 Federation officers, but there's been so many deaths that
It's
down
up to
to
43.
Yep,
43 at the start, and it's
less by the ends.
It's less at the end. So they're trying to do what they have to do, and then a bunch of Jem'Hadar ships are trying to attack them.
They attack the Defiant first, so
Yes.
Worf has to leave them there temporarily.
Right. So he has to leave them there temporarily. And this is around the time where they're... Oh, yes. So the Jem'Hadar ships attack, but they find out in the beginning that they're holograms. They're using holograms.
And why are they doing that?
They're using holograms so that, I'm guessing, and I could be wrong about this.
They say it in the episode.
So that when they attack, they won't know it.
So when they attack, they'll already know the defenses that the Federation has against them.
Ah, okay.
Keep going, babes.
Yes. Well, then all of a sudden, everything, the Jem'Hadar holograms attack and they disappear, and they attack and they disappear. But then, I can't remember what Nog was doing. He got caught in the crossfires very unexpectedly, and his leg got blown off. And this was from a real Jem'Hadar ship.
No, this was from one of the mines, I believe.
Oh, the mines, land mines. Yes.
Was it from one of the mines, or was there a phaser fight? Something like that.
His. It sounded like his leg got shot off.
I know that they took him back, and Bashir had to amputate it.
Right, he did have to amputate it. It was pretty bad. And then Bashir was saying that they had to fit him with a prosthetic leg. And there might be some complications, but that's what's going to happen. Quark is very, very upset with this.
Because Quark didn't want him to go out exploring the planet.
Yep. Right. He wanted to act like a real Ferengi, whatever that is.
Is there anything else you want to say about this episode?
So basically, overall, this wasn't actually supposed to be like a complete Nog episode, but this ended up being what leads up to the next episode.
Right.
But
do you think we should talk about this episode in particular before we go on to the next one?
I don't have anything more to say about it. Do you?
To me, it's more of an example of DS9 being about PTSD.
Yes.
And how war affects men.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how some people aren't designed for war.
Right.
One of the scenes that comes to mind when I think about this episode, before Nog has the issue with his leg, he's talking to Quark. Mm-hmm. Quark says something to the effect of, "Let me tell you something, nephew. These humans are pretty nice people, as long as their bellies are full and the holosuites are working.
Right.
But get them away from food and in the heat of battle, and they become more vicious and vile than Klingons."
Wow.
Is there truth to this? I mean, my holosuite hasn't been working for a while. So.
Well, this is not the Star Trek universe, number one.
What do you mean?
We are not living in a Star Trek universe. And I don't have a holosuite either.
Okay.
That'd be kind of fun.
I do think that, honestly, an aside,
yes,
that's the one piece of Star Trek technology that I could see us developing within our lifetimes.
I would love to have like a holodeck or a holosuite. Like if you can't go on vacation, you just go into a holosuite program and it's almost like you're on vacation when you're not even leaving.
If you ever read about virtual reality, it seems like we're close to something like that.
even though it sounds kind of cool, it sounds kind of weird at the same time. Like, could that really happen? Is that really, is that really possible?
But maybe that's a discussion for a little bit later. But what do you think of Quark's statement about humans?
Humans. Well, I think it really depends on individuals. I don't know that there's complete truth to it. I think that there are some individuals that are better at surviving. You've heard the term survival mode.
Correct.
They are better at being in survival mode than some. Some of them can get out of it unscathed, I would imagine, but others get out of it and they're completely changed forever.
Interesting.
That's how I see it.
Since you don't feel like there's more to say about this episode,
yeah,
perhaps we should move on to It's Only a Paper Moon.
Yes.
And I'll take the lead on the explanation, if you would like.
Yes.
It starts off, it's a little bit after this episode, and the main crew is going down to greet a ship of people that is coming in because Nog is supposed to be on it. They're waiting. Passengers keep coming off. And finally, our favorite ensign sees the crew. They applaud. Nog goes over to Captain Sisko, hands him a tablet. We find out that Nog is still on medical leave. Captain Sisko would like him to attend a reception in his honor, but Nog doesn't feel like it, so he asks if he could stay in his quarters. The emissary's cool with that. We go to break. We come back.
He's been in his quarters for how many weeks was this?
No. We come back. Ezri is talking to him.
Right.
Explaining what's been going on.
Yep.
Since he's been gone.
Right, exactly, yes.
There's the silence. Nog brings up the pain in his legs and says that the doctors are telling him, you're crazy. You shouldn't have any pain in your legs.
Yep.
You're going to be okay. This is a standard procedure.
By the way, I'm just sitting next to the wall. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm just leaning against the wall.
Okay.
The only reason why I'm saying that in case I sound farther.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not trying to throw me off.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's right, because he's explaining to her, I'm pretty sick and tired of doctors telling me that it's all in my head because my leg really does hurt.
Right. Okay. So getting back to this.
Yes.
He also explains to Ezri that he's been talking about his emotions for the last 3 weeks, and he just needs a little bit of space. She leaves, and he puts on a recording from the great Vic Fontaine. He goes into bed and rests. We see Ezri talking to Captain Sisko and basically just saying, it's going to take some time. He's dealing with some stuff.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we need to let the patient decide his own method of treatment. He could help lead us to something. Then we see Jake in bed, tossing and turning.
Keeps hearing the same old song over again.
Finally going into Nog's room and saying, Nog, I've been trying to be patient with this, but you've been playing this damn song for the last 3 days. In the Star Trek universe, they apparently store their music on these chips. So Sisko takes the chip, pulls it out, and says, okay, if you want to see Vic Fontaine, you're
go to Holosuite.
Right. Snog does what he's told. He sees Vic, asks him to play the song, plays it 15 times.
In different arrangements.
By the end, Vic is getting pretty tired of this himself.
Yeah.
He sits down next to Nog. They start talking. Comes out that Vic knows about the war and what's going on. Maybe not all the details.
Yeah.
And he understands that Nog thinks it's essential for him to carry a cane.
Yeah.
He doesn't press it.
Yeah.
Nog asks if it's okay to stay with Vic.
Yep.
Vic concurs. They start having adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, we see that they're building a relationship together.
Yep.
And Esri goes into the holosuite, sees what's up, talks to Vic, which is interesting considering that he's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
Leaves, has an informal meeting with some of the senior staff, Rom, Lita, Jake, and they all kind of agree to give Nog a little bit of leeway with this and see where it's going. Even though Rom thinks it's a little bit strange.
Yeah, and I have to mention this. While Esri was talking to Vic had this plan to see if he could wean Nog off of his cane.
Correct.
Yep.
He gives Nog this really cool cane that has a lighter on it at the top of it.
Pretty styling.
Pretty styling.
For what I understand.
Yes. They go to the club. Mr. Fontaine is performing. Jake Sisko comes in with a hot girl. They sit down. One thing leads to another. Nog gets offended.
Mm-hmm. Because he's thinking that Keisha is just looking at his leg. And,
correct.
And that she's embarrassed or whatever it is.
And he gets into a fight with Sisko.
And they...
Huh? Do you want me to do this or do you want to...
No, go on.
Okay. Vic kicks them both out of the club.
Mm-hmm.
Nog goes up to Vic's suite. Eventually, Mr. Fontaine comes in. We find out that he's been having trouble with his books. I think we know that for a while, but it's at this point I believe that the Ferengi offers to help.
I'm guessing it's financial books, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not his mystery books.
Not his mystery
Because he mentions the IRS. And he's still behind on the 62 payments. Or on the payments from 62.
And I'm down to 61. Anyway.
You're down to 61?
No. He was talking about 62 and the papers, the payments in 61 because.
Oh, he was, okay.
Nog was helping with his payments.
Gotcha.
And then Nog. Sorry. Can I mention something?
Go ahead.
And you can go on. Nog had an idea to expand Vic's profit as far as expanding his casino.
Correct. So we do that. Nog's starting to connect with the characters in the holosuite. Mm-hmm. He's really enjoying himself. There's a scene in this episode I love where Rom and Lita come in.
Yeah.
He goes over to greet them, seats them. They talk for a little while. We find out that Rom got a promotion. And Nog excuses himself because he says, I have to go and talk to these high rollers. I'm thinking to myself, these aren't even real.
They're holograms.
Rom thinks that Nog is losing his mind. And who could really blame him at this point?
Right, exactly.
Eventually, Esri comes back. She's talking to Vic. She's saying, well, it looks like Nog's treatment is going well. He says, yeah. She says, well, what's your next plan, Vic? He tells her that he wants to take Nog to meet Sammy.
Right.
She's like, Sammy who? And obviously it's a reference to Sammy Davis Jr., which I think is great.
I didn't actually catch that.
Oh.
I didn't. I mean, I knew that he was talking about Sam, but I didn't know which. I didn't know it was Sammy Davis Jr.
Think of it. Early 60s Vegas.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, okay.
She wonders aloud, how is this Sammy going to help Nog? Mm-hmm. Vic says, that's an interesting thing. And she says, well, you're still working on this, right? You're still going to help him leave here because, you want him to have a life outside of this. And Vic starts to think, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
This isn't about building a new hotel.
Right, yeah.
So we go back to Vic's quarters. Vic confronts Nog in a friendly way, but he says, listen, Pally.
You gotta go.
You gotta go.
Your time is up. You have to go.
Nog pushes back on this. He wants to work on the hotel. Vic is able to turn himself off, and that's exactly what he does.
End program.
Yeah. So we go to break. We could return. Nog is working to bring Vic back.
Yeah.
O'Brien comes into the room. Says, we all miss you, buddy. We want to see you again. And by the way, Vic's a very special hologram. He just can't come back because you want him to. He has to choose to re-enter this phase of reality.
Yep.
The good chief leaves. We see Vic Fontaine again. And he gives this really cool short speech about how, if you stay in the holosuite, you're going to slowly die. It's not all going to happen at once, but eventually you're going to end up as hollow as me.
Yep.
He says, Nog breaks down and says, I'm in pain because I've seen so many things. At first I thought it was just going to be a fun thing being in the war and getting to be a hero.
And now I'm scared.
Because of the reality setting in. I've seen so many friends died. And if my legs can be blown off, anything can happen to me out there.
It could happen tomorrow. And then he said something like, Vic was encouraging, like, you have to get back to you have to go back to your life.
You have to play the cards that you're dealt.
The cards that you're dealt. And then he says, but I don't want to play. I don't want to go back. He's trying to explain to him that he doesn't want to go back to his life.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Vic says, listen, you got to be in the game. You got to be part of life. And he explains to Nog, I didn't have a life before you, but because my program was on for so long, I got to do things like hang with the guys, really, flirt with women, all this type of thing. So Nog goes off. He starts living his life. Next thing we know, he goes back into Vic's.
Yep.
And he sits down with him, says, I'm doing a lot better. Thank you so much. And I want to do you this favor. Since you helped give me a life, I'm going to give you one. I've arranged with my uncle to have your program continuously running 26 hours a day. Vic sings at the end.
Yes.
And it's the end of the episode.
It's a great episode.
Yes.
It's great. I really like how they brilliantly deal with PTSD. Just the way they don't sugarcoat it.
No.
And it's so creative. It really is. Very creative.
What does Nog say? Not only about the war, but about depression. Because, okay, he's feeling this way because he had his leg blown off.
Yeah.
But we've all known people who've retreated from life after a bad relationship with a girl or a guy. Or
a death of a family member.
What does he say about depression and retreating from life?
You can only retreat so long until it's time to come out of hiding and face the music, so to speak.
And if you don't come out, you slowly start to wither away.
Yep, you are no longer the same person that you were when you went into hiding. It's just a hollow version of yourself.
What does Vic teach us about recovery?
Well, just like what we just talked about, right? You can, because his program is just a fantasy, right? You can only live a fantasy for so long, but it slowly takes away everything.
I have a slightly different take on that.
I don't know how to explain it. Go on.
What Vic teaches us is sometimes the person who helps get us out of the depression isn't a counselor.
Yeah.
It could take the form of a buddy. It could be seeing somebody who's living their life to the fullest that encourages us, who also gives us a taste of tough love. Because Vic gives us both.
Right.
He encourages Nog to be himself and to be good with numbers. But he also calls him out on his bullshit. Whether it's telling him you need to apologize to that girl.
Why are you tapping on my foot?
Because I'm talking to you, babe.
Oh, okay.
I'm on around here, babe.
Okay.
because he encourages Nog to apologize to that girl. He kicks him out of the club.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he kicks him out of the holosuite.
Right. But he did it. He had to be firm when he needed to be firm. He wasn't always going to cater to Nog's every whim because he knew it was going to be a short time.
Yes.
And I appreciate that Ezri let Nog kind of learn about himself through this. She wasn't always hovering over him saying that you have to do it my way. And I'm glad that she let Vic help him figure it out.
Yes.
I'm glad that she did that because she could have easily said, nope, I'm going to keep him on Deep Space Nine and he's not going anywhere because he has to deal with his own problems.
But Ezri also has plenty of her own shit to deal with too.
Right. She does.
So it's not like she's the best at helping other people.
No, but what I mean is that I appreciate that she let Nog do that.
Yeah, but I kind of feel that one of the reasons she did that is because her workload is getting to her.
Right. Possibly.
That's just my feeling though, Jaylo.
You could be right.
Yes.
I mean, for goodness sake, she just became a Dax.
Exactly.
You know, she just got a symbiont in her. I mean, she has to deal with all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the foul taste of Ractagino.
Right.
To her. She keeps ordering it because Curzon likes it. Oh my goodness.
What does Rom tell us about the outsider and depression?
I never thought about that. You mean as far as Rom's perspective?
What does he tell us as the audience, though? Do you want me to give
Go
my
ahead.
opinion?
You give your opinion. I can't think of anything at the moment.
Oftentimes, as somebody who's dealt with depression myself, people who aren't going through the same thing look at you like you're crazy. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And Rom is kind of the voice for those people.
Okay.
Because at one point he says, my son is in a hologram. He's crazy. Because the actions of a depressed person can look insane to an outsider who hasn't gone through that type of thing.
I can totally understand why it would, yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that, Jaylo?
Well, it's hard for me to relate because I never, and hopefully will never experience severe depression, but that only that also means, on the other hand, that I could experience severe depression as anybody else can. And because I've never been that depressed, I have a hard time relating to people that are super, super depressed and just have not gotten over their issues or haven't been able to deal with them. And you wonder, on the outside, well, how in the world did they get to where they are now? Where they just want to retreat and hide.
Yes.
And they don't want to live their life and they don't want to have fun with their friends and their family and they don't want to do anything. And it's hard to understand that. I know because and this person will not be nameless.
They will not be nameless?
They will be nameless.
Okay.
Excuse me. They will not be mentioned. They will be nameless. I dated someone that was severely depressed. And it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter how nice I was. When he was depressed, it didn't matter who he hurt. He was only thinking of himself. And that was really hard for me to understand. Because I wasn't depressed and I was the one that was trying to help him and I couldn't. And that was really hard for me. What do you think of what I just said?
You were wrong.
I was wrong.
And you were
yes.
dating your son, Nog. Which on the Ferenginar world is okay, I guess.
Not
as long as he's of age.
I was not Rom. I was like Rom. That's the difference there.
Okay.
He was like Nog, but severely depressed.
Very good.
Like about a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Like there was no joy in his life.
Hey, sometimes we get to be Vic Fontaine and help people out. Other times we get to be Rom and be critical of the people in pain.
But no, on a serious note, it really was very, very difficult, and I just could not deal with it.
Yes.
I didn't know how to deal with it. I was just like, I can't help you. I really can't help you. No matter, you won't let me help you. No matter what I do, I can't help you. I just can't do it. So that was just really, really tough.
Do you have anything else you want to say about this episode, babes?
I don't. It's pretty heavy, but I really think that Nog's been growing for a while, growing as a person for a while, but he's really grown in this episode, I think.
The two episodes go really well together.
They do.
Even though they're separated.
Yes. They do.
Yes.
And was this episode right after that last one?
I just said they're separated. They don't go.
They're not consecutive.
There's an episode between them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, babes. Do we want to talk about dinner last night, babes? Or no?
I'll just say this. I'm not gonna. I think I'll just say this part.
Last night I felt like Rom. My girlfriend's going insane.
No, okay. All of us, it doesn't matter who we are, all of us have our off mornings, off afternoons, off evenings. And it didn't last very long. And I don't even know what triggered it. I have no idea. But I think, and it was just a simple task. I was supposed to pour rice into a cup. No problem. I've done it before. But for some reason, I was taking a long time. I couldn't even tell you why. I have no idea. Maybe it's because I didn't want rice to spill all over, because it usually does. I have no idea why. And I also felt rushed that evening because I was so eager to make this bowl. I really wanted to help with the making of our bowls, and I don't know what was going on. And the only conclusion that I can come up with is I had a lot of things on my mind, and especially for this week, because a certain relative is supposed to visit, and she's never seen my place. She's never been in Portland for a longer time. And I've also thought about what about extra furniture? How am I going to get that here? What am I going to do as far as a meal, or if I'm going to make a meal before she gets here?
We should also state that this person currently can't drive, and most places in Portland are still shut. Right.
At the moment, she cannot. And luckily, there is a store that's not too far from me, but I digress. And then just so many things are going through my head. The only conclusion I'm thinking about is that there were some things on my mind that took over took over during that simple task, which would have been a lot quicker had I hurried and put the rice in there. And then I was trying to deal with both the rice and beans on the stovetop and trying to maneuver between both of the pot and the pan. And once I finally got into it, I was fine. But what I didn't do is I didn't ask Rick to take over a job that I thought I could do. And then I could have taken over his job and helped with that. But that was the last thing on my mind. I don't know what was going on.
Well, then you got upset with me.
Well, I guess that because I didn't understand why you were upset with me and what was up with that. But you explained it to me, so
I honestly, I felt it was a little unfair for you to be upset with me, but we discussed that.
We discussed it. Everything's fine. We didn't have a big fight over it.
Yes.
But that just proves that everybody has their off days, and apparently that was mine. Usually I'm okay at the stovetop with rice and beans, and I've done fine, but today and I think also too, when I had my 2 minutes alone, I was rushed. I felt rushed. I rushed myself. That was my own fault, though.
Yes, it was.
My mind was rushing, and I was rushing. That's the only conclusion I can come up with.
Uh-oh.
But we know what to do. We know what to do. Sometimes we might need an extra minute. And that's always a good thing. And it's not going to take away from any meal prep time. And switching jobs in the middle if possible, and pacing ourselves and things like that.
How you feeling right now, babes?
I'm feeling better.
Good.
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling much better now that I talked about it out in the open.
Nice. Are you glad that you expressed what happened then?
Yes, and so now we can move on and put it behind us.
Okay, or we could examine you a little bit more.
No,
okay.
There's nothing else to examine. I'm not going crazy.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not depressed.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
No, and it's also, mixed with excitement because I haven't seen this person since last summer. I'm very excited to see her.
We know it's a female.
Yes. We do. We have known that. I've said her.
Okay.
And she.
Is it possible that your dad transitioned to a woman and that's who's coming?
What did you say?
Is it possible?
What did you say?
Never mind.
You know what?
What's that?
If I actually told someone to listen to this and this episode happens to be on,
yes,
you are to blame for that one sec. You are to blame for what you just said. You are to blame for what you just said.
Oh. Well, no, I was trying to make you laugh because I felt like maybe it was so a little bit stressed.
No, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm feeling better.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Oh, you just fought it.
It's a stopper.
Right.
It's a stopper.
Notice you always go by the stopper. Ugh. And earlier when I was talking, I was explaining something. You were like, "I'm going by the wall." It's like, why is he telling me that? And it's like, oh,
no, because
stopper thing.
No, but just in case you noticed that I was farther, because sometimes I lean against the wall because I want my back to rest on something.
Okay, you buy the stopper, of course. All right, babes.
Yes.
What do we end up having?
Oh well, after all that was said and done, we had a really, really, really good yum bowl.
Yes. With
some amazing sauce. By the way, did I give you back your sauce?
I'm going to take my sauce.
Yeah, I
want to get more of it in your mouth.
But, hey.
Keep going.
Hey. Keep on track here, Hammond.
Okay, Jay.
Yum sauce for our yum bowls. Excuse me.
Keep going, babe. All right, babe.
Did I give you back? No, I'm serious. Did I give you back?
It's in your refrigerator.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, babes.
I didn't want you to joke.
Okay. Give me a kiss.
No.
Go. You know you want to give me a kiss.
Okay.
Okay.
So we had that. It was really good.
Yes.
We had 2 of those bowls. We had some left over for an extra bowl. And then I took out the sorry, I heard somebody sneeze. It's kind of distracting. Anyway, I took out the Tillamook chocolate peanut butter ice cream. We had that with a little bit of Hershey syrup.
That's good, babe.
And to top it off with M&Ms, and it was delicious. Yes. And we were so full after that. Oh, the yum bowls were filling. The ice cream was filling. It was good.
And for those of us who are upset about how unhealthy we're eating, go fuck yourselves. We're going to eat like this. It's a pandemic. The country's falling apart.
Wow, you're going to be rude to our listeners?
If they're upset with how we're eating.
I'm going to say it nicely. It doesn't matter It doesn't matter.
That's
you
right.
handle it the way that you handle it, even though we both may think that you're crazy.
We got a couple months left. At best.
Not that you all are crazy. I'm just saying,
No. We got a couple months left before the country's gone. So we're gonna ride this one.
Oh, come on. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there, babes.
Let's just say that he's more of a pessimist and I'm more of the optimist in the relationship.
Yes.
I'm trying to teach him a little bit of that.
Oh, Jaylo.
Cynicism isn't good.
No,
Not a good quality.
It's not, babes. It's not.
You're a cynical Rick.
Cynical Rick.
Yeah.
Jaylo.
Yes.
We then watched some movies.
Oh my goodness, yes we did. And they were good too.
We started with What About Bob?
I don't know why I didn't watch the whole movie originally, because I think I only saw parts of it and I wasn't interested. But
Do you want me to give the description?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
It starts off, this guy named Bob is leaving his apartment. And we see that he has all these neuroses. Bob has to carry around a tissue to open doors. He has issues getting on and off of elevators. Then we go to the office of Dr. Leo Marvin, who is about to go on vacation and is excited because a television crew from the program Good Morning America is going to do a profile of him in his home to help promote his new book.
Yep.
So he's very thrilled. Gets a call from one of his colleagues saying, I've got a patient that I want you to see because I'm getting out of the business. I think you guys will connect. He pays on time, has a few issues, but is an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Guy hangs up the phone. We find out that Bob Wiley has already made an appointment.
Yep.
Bob gets into the office after running up the stairs because he couldn't take the heat in the elevator.
Yep.
With all the people.
Right. Couldn't handle it.
Right. Goes into the room, tries guessing the name of Leo Marvin's family because he sees a picture of them on the wall. Cannot successfully do it. Sits down. They talk. We find out that his ex-wife left him because, or he left her rather, because there are two types of people in life. Those who like Neil Diamond.
And those who don't.
And she loved Neil Diamond.
and he left her because of it.
Or did she leave him? Is a question that Leo Marvin brings up.
Right.
Then Leo Marvin hands him a book called Baby Steps.
Baby steps.
Bob starts to get it. He walks around the room, walks around the reception area, comes back inside, then leaves again. But before he leaves, we find out, or Bob realizes, because Leo Marvin articulates that he's going to be gone for the next month.
For a whole entire month.
Yes.
With his family on vacation. Yep.
So, Leo thinks everything's good. He's excited. Later on that day, while Mr. Wiley is watching the Brady Bunch, he realizes that he needs to talk to Mr. Marvin.
Right.
He dials up this service, which I guess connects patients to their therapists.
And he talks to this nice woman named Betty.
Right. He explains that, this is a unique situation. Could you please connect me to the home of Mr. Marvin? She does. Leo explains that if this is not an emergency, he's not going to talk to him. Hang up. Later on that night, he goes to a phone booth. He gets a lady to call the service again, pretending to be Leo's sister, Lily. He gets on the phone. Mr. Dreyfus tells him, we can't do this. You got to hang up. Then Bob Wiley goes to the therapy service and tells the telephone operator that Bob Wiley committed suicide. And he needs to contact Dr. Leo Marvin.
Right now.
They tell him where Leo is vacationing. He takes a bus out there, starts yelling for Dr. Leo Marvin.
Yes.
Dr. Leo Marvin. As Leo and Julie Haggerty, along with the kids, are leaving the local grocery store. They hear him. Mm-hmm. Richard Dreyfuss goes over, makes an agreement. I'm going to call you at 4.
At Gutman's coffee shop.
Yes. We find out that the Gutmans
They hate
the
his
Marvins.
guts. They hate their guts.
They stole their dream house.
Yep.
So the Gutmans say, all right, we're going to let you stay with us. No. They say, we're going to drive you to where he lives.
Yeah.
He goes there. Leo's a slick talker. He says, I give you an excuse, Bob, to be on vacation, not from your work, but from your problems. Often they're related.
Take a vacation.
Right. And, of course, that means that Bob's going to take a vacation right next to where Leo Marvin lives because of his good buddies, the Gutmans, who let him stay.
The Gutmans did, yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The next day, he comes over to the house. He leaves. Leo explains to the family, you are not to talk to Bob or let him in the house. But they don't listen.
They don't listen.
Anna, his daughter, takes Bob sailing.
Mm-hmm. He's tied to a sail, by the way.
Mm-hmm. While this is happening, Ziggy, his son, is being forced to learn how to dive. And Leo lets him go into the water, lets him fall.
Fall into the water, yep.
Ziggy's a scared 12-year-old.
Yep.
And he falls after he sees Bob on the boat. Leo gets into an argument with Anna, finds out that she thinks Bob is fun and he's not.
Right.
Bob starts talking to Ziggy on this pier and eventually gets him to dive.
Ziggy's actually teaching Bob to dive.
Yes.
Yes. Which is kind of funny because he was scared to dive.
Exactly, yeah.
In the beginning, yeah.
And, you know, everybody wants to invite Bob to dinner. They do. Mayhem ensues. Leo Marvin almost chokes to death, but luckily Mr. Wiley saves him.
And he jumps on him and all that.
Yes.
Not only that, it's raining. Now I know I'm fast forwarding, but this isn't actually a pivotal point. Mayhem ensues. It gets later and later. It starts raining.
Right. And Bob can't go home because it's just so wet. They left the car at the marina.
Yep.
He has to stay in Ziggy's room. He steals Leo Marvin's toothbrush and is wearing one of his robes. Dr. Marvin is not upset. He's getting ready for bed. He hears yelling from his son's bedroom. They are pretending to have Tourette's syndrome.
He goes into the bedroom. And he says, I don't want to hear a peep out of this room. Everybody's trying to sleep here. And meanwhile, I mean, keep in mind, too, that the Good Morning America interview is the next day.
Right. They wake up early. Bob is leaving. The Good Morning America people come. And Bob is kind of like standing behind him. Lets it be known that he's a patient. They get the idea to put him on the TV with Leo Marvin. They go on Good Morning America. Bob takes over the interview and completely ruins the promotion of his book. Saying, oh, I stay with Dr. Marvin. I'm one of his patients. Yeah, and he's completely changed my life in just 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days.
Leo gets him committed, but that doesn't last. And now he's mad when Bob gets out.
He's so mad he wants to kill him.
Right.
Yeah, he gets all these explosives.
Things happen before then.
Yes.
We don't need to get everything away. So let's just fast forward a little bit. He gets all these explosives. He ties Bob up. And Bob thinks, oh, this is a metaphor for my life and how I need to untie the ropes in my life. Unties the ropes. Puts the explosives in the house of Dr. Leo Marvin. And their beautiful summer home explodes. But by this time, Bob has let go of all of his anxieties.
Yep.
And eventually marries Lily.
His sister. Leo's sister.
Leo's sister.
As if Leo couldn't handle him after that.
Leo pretty much went into shock after the explosion of the house.
Yep.
And only starts talking at the wedding. The end.
That was great.
I think this film is a classic, and most people would agree with me.
I don't know why I didn't watch all of it in the beginning, but it was really, really funny. Very, very funny.
I like it because the bad guy wins.
Yeah.
I mean, the good guy is good and unlikable.
Absolutely unlikable.
And the bad guy is bad, likable, gets the girl at the end, and wins.
And the more the bad guy wins, the good guy looks more and more insane. Mm-hmm. More and more crazy than the bad guy.
So you agree with me that Bill Murray is the villain in this movie?
He's a villain, but he's like a likable villain. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's a likable villain, even though he imposes himself on everybody. But he's likable. You can't not like him.
You know who he reminds me of, babe?
Who?
Jerry from Rick and Morty.
Yes. Jerry is not very smart, but he's likable.
If you don't need anything important done.
Exactly. He's likable, but he's so clueless about what's going on in his family life and his marriage. But, you know, he's likable, especially when he goes to the Jerry daycare.
Right. Getting back to What About Bob?
Yes.
Do you think one of the reasons this movie is a classic, beyond the fact that it's funny, is because it plays with the idea of villains and good guys so much?
Absolutely, I do. I would concur. It certainly does. Yeah. The good guy doesn't always look so good in the end. Bad guy doesn't look so bad in the end.
What does Bob really represent to the family? We know it's fun, but I think there's something else. I think fun comes with surprise, and chaos.
And I'm guessing that before Bob, you know, they had their own life with Leo, right? But that's all they knew. And maybe they got so used to that they didn't know what fun was until Bob came into their lives.
After this vacation.
Yep.
What does the family's life look like outside of Leo? Okay, so their summer home is destroyed. Mm-hmm. Their dad can no longer work as a therapist. Do they go to the poorhouse? Does Bob win the lottery and help them out? What do you think?
Maybe because Bob just loves the Marvin family, especially Dr. Marvin, right? Mm-hmm. Despite how imposing he is, you know that he's got love for these people. I would imagine that he would want to do something to repay Dr. Marvin back, even though he ruined his promotion, his book promotion. That's what I think. Maybe Bob will be the bigger person.
You don't think he lets them go homeless?
No.
Are the Marvins the type of people who have a rainy day fund and can afford to have Leo in the hospital?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. Yes. It seemed like they were pretty well off, though.
In my mind, they lose a lot after this. Mm. They have to give up their house, but they also learn to depend less on material possessions and become happy with less money.
With what they have. Yep.
Well, what they have is dwindling.
What they have is dwindling. Well, you know what I mean. With what they have left. Mm-hmm. Not what they have, but what they have left.
Does Julie Haggerty stay with Leo past the wedding of Lillian?
I think she does. She seems like a loyal wife.
She's great as that type of person.
She seems like a very loyal wife, yeah.
But in movies in general, she always plays this like soft-spoken character.
Very, very, very kind. You know, yeah. She does really good in this role. I think she stays a loyal wife.
His kids are nice.
Yeah.
If a little bit eccentric, but they mean well.
Yes.
I think that they learn to grow because of this.
I think you're right. I mean, you already see Anna growing when she says, Bob is really fun. Give Bob a chance, right?
Right.
He's not a teenager, but she's willing to learn from this guy.
What happens to Leo Marvin? Do you think that he can't go back into practice?
I don't know. He may go insane. He may go find another career outside of therapy, being a psychologist.
It's maybe possible
psychiatrist. Yeah.
that he becomes a motivational speaker at some point.
Yeah.
And he uses this as his rock bottom moment.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Becomes a part of the motivational speaker community, I guess.
I really like that these questions don't get answered in the movie in any satisfactory way. We know that Bob wrote a book and that Leo sued him, but that's all we know. Mm-hmm. Right? But they never made a sequel.
I'm glad they didn't make a sequel, though. Mm-hmm. I think it was fine the way it is. The music was great in the movie, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 90s.
I know.
But that was our childhood. So 90s, but it was our childhood.
That's why I'm surprised you never saw this movie, because it was so big in our childhood.
I only saw parts of it, like I said. I didn't see the whole thing.
You saw baby steps and the scene of Bob eating.
I don't remember what scene I stopped at.
Oh.
Yes.
Overall, you would recommend this film?
Yes, I would. And I've been hearing people talking about What About Bob?
And now you know what they're talking about.
Now I know what I'm talking about. It's funny when it's funny when Julie Haggerty's character Faye, she's like, "What about Bob? What about Bob?"
That felt a little bit crowbarred in.
You think so?
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting how that when it was mentioned in there.
I want to ask you.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Before we met, what were your thoughts, if any, about Richard Dreyfuss, and what do you think of him now?
I didn't know much about Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, I've seen I've seen a couple of his movies, and one in particular that I really liked was Mr. Holland's Opus, which is another movie I needed to show you because it's really good. The music is good too. But I didn't know much about his stuff. I didn't really have any opinion on him.
I showed you Close Encounters.
It's very good.
And this weekend we watched 2 films with him.
Yes. Yes, we did. Absolutely.
You were getting some sense of what he does, what he brings to the table as an actor.
It's good work. It's very good work, yeah.
Yes.
Very good work. I would imagine he's a very respected actor today.
I would hope so.
I would hope so, too.
I mean, the man's worked with Steven Spielberg twice.
Yeah, very true.
How many people get to say that?
Mm-hmm. No, he's good. Yes. Very good.
Very good, Jaylo.
Yes.
Alana?
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
No. All right.
Why don't you describe Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael?
And I'll kind of do like a brief thing because there are so many weird things in this movie. So it's a movie. So the next movie that I wanted to show Rick was called Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael. It's been years since I watched it. And I used to watch it on TV when my family and I would watch movies on HBO. And I really enjoyed it. This was, I believe it was an independent film, and Winona Ryder was the main character. She played a very awkward teenage girl named Dinky Bassetti. Of all the names you can think of, her name was Dinky Bassetti.
Alana has already decided that if we ever have a daughter, she wants to give her the first name Stinky and the middle name Dinky, so she can be Stinky Dinky.
No, that's just mean.
Okay,
I can't do that.
Keep going, Jaylo.
So the main premise of this movie is based on a famous woman named Roxy Carmichael. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but I have to explain the beginning. And I forgot this. This is like, 15 years, I'm going to guess. 15 years later, whatever. Or 15 years earlier, rather. Roxy Carmichael and this man have a baby. I think they were, it's implied that they were married at the time, correct?
No.
In the beginning?
Yeah, they were married. That's right. He said that
they were married.
He said that they got married when they were 10, which I didn't really
Which doesn't make any sense to me.
So was it just one of those things where kids say, oh, we're married now? Or did they actually get an official ceremony later?
I don't think they got married at 10. I think they actually got married later, but that's just...
My thought is they do what kids do and they pretend to get married, right?
That's what I was thinking.
But then...
Did they probably
have a real ceremony later on?
I'm thinking they had a real ceremony later on because remember in that beginning part where Roxy is packing up the baby stuff, and she's
packing up her stuff.
She's packing up her stuff and leaving. And I don't know what she's saying, I basically that I'm leaving and I'm doing my own thing. And that's all you see with the couple and the baby. Anyway, so it starts off with that. And then we start learning more about Dinky Bassetti, who's this really awkward girl that is kind of a loner. She has a bunch of animals in her yard. Was it a yard?
She goes to this weird area outside of town where the animals are.
Okay, so she keeps them there. So there's like a dog and a pig and a goat. All these little animals that she takes care of. And she lives in Clyde, Ohio. And she... You find out pretty early that Roxy Carmichael is a subject of this entire movie. And they're having... Hence the name, Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael. Now, it focuses on a week to commemorate Roxy Carmichael's life and that she is going to visit her town that she grew up in. In the midst of all that, you're learning more about Dinky's parents, who you find out pretty early on that she's adopted. They don't know what's going on with her. They're thinking of sending her away because she's kind of isolated herself. There was one scene where they're taking a tour of Roxy Carmichael's place and where she used to eat and everything. Dinky goes into this pink room, completely pink, locks herself in there. You remember?
I do.
She locks herself in there. She looks around because she believes that she has this connection to Roxy Carmichael for whatever reason.
Could I interject for a second?
Yes.
They also want to give her away because there's these new fertility treatments on the market.
Yeah.
And now they think that they're going to be able to have their own kid.
But these people are older. I mean, they seem older in the movie, so I don't know.
They are older, but that's one of the excuses they give to the headmaster of the school that they want to send her.
Right, exactly. So, anyway, they were wondering why she did that, and she always runs into... Would you say that Jeff Daniels is like her neighbor or some guy in the neighborhood or something?
I'd say some guy in the neighborhood.
She keeps running into Denton, who's Jeff Daniels' character. And she finds out from him that him and Roxy were married at the age of 10, or apparently. That's what he says. Yeah, I could have married her at 5, I wonder what he thought when he looked at the script. And so... She kind of learned some things about Roxy Carmichael from him, and looking through all of her things, and finds out some finds out why she's famous, which is really weird because some singer named Jack Slater wrote about her eyes in a song called In Roxy's Eyes, which is kind of weird. I almost thought she was like a rock star or something.
That's what I assumed too, because they were making such a big deal about her.
I thought she was like some kind of a movie star or a rock star. There's other characters that you see. There's like a salon where this one lady keeps saying that she was Roxy Carmichael's best friend, and that they were all kind of thinking, well, you know, should I be blonde? Should I do this? And there's also a clothing store that's featured in the movie, and people are getting ready for the big arrival of Roxy Carmichael, and you know, Dinky has been eating a lot of M&Ms. Dinky also befriends this counselor. She's a guidance counselor. She gets sent to the guidance counselor's office when she writes this poem that was based on trying to figure out what was going on with her real mother, is what I would that's what I gathered. So she gets into the counselor's office, like, you know, she's trying to figure out, well, why do I have to see her? She befriends the counselor, and they kind of have an interesting relationship, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah. What else? Then you find out, and I know I'm kind of skipping around because there's so many people to keep track of. You find out more about Jeff Daniels' family life, and it's really going horrible because Jeff Daniels' character is awaiting Roxy Carmichael's arrival because he's thinking that it's implied that he wants to rekindle their romance. He wants to rekindle their romance and be married to her and completely like shut his wife and his 2 kids out of his life. It's going pretty downhill. In fact, there's a scene where she packs up her stuff, takes the kids, they say goodbye. They cry together, and he told her, you know, I thought it was over and it's not over. And she leaves, and he starts to burn stuff. I'm thinking it may be their stuff or Roxy's stuff. I don't know. We don't know, but he's burning a lot of mementos. Would you like to fill in some more? I gotta let you chime in here.
All right. Thank you so much there, Jaylo.
Yes, I said quite a bit.
Yes.
Go on.
As Jeff Daniels and Dinky become closer, he explains to her that not only was he in a long-term relationship with Miss Carmichael, but he knocked her up. And she pushed out a kid. And after about 3 months, she got tired of, you know, the midnight feedings and whatnot, so she decided to bounce. Jeff Daniels left the baby at the hospital and went on with his life.
He went on with his life, got married, had 2 kids, and went on his way.
Dinky knows that she's adopted and starts thinking that Miss Carmichael might be her mom.
She got to be her mother, and she's she's making all these plans.
Telling people that my mom's going to come and get me on Friday.
Yep. And she's already packing her suitcase, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do with the animal. She's buying something nice at the store. She's doing all these things. And in all the midst of that, there's this kid named Gerald House, who is very, very interested in Dinky Bassetti. He doesn't really understand why, but everybody doesn't like her. Everybody keeps throwing food at her and teasing her and completely terrorizing her. And he's like, no, I really like you a lot.
At one point, he's talking to a friend who explains that Dinky gets suspended a lot. And you know how you always make fun of the new kid for the first few months?
Yep.
Dinky's gone from school so much that whenever she's there, it's like seeing the new kid again.
Yep.
So she can never get past it.
She can never get past it, right? and he was talking about they were thinking about sending her away to another place again or whatever it is. And so it's an interesting point. And so it's nearing, I know I'm kind of skipping around, but there's so many weird things in there. It's nearing the arrival of Miss Carmichael. It gets nearer and nearer. And keep in mind, it's like in the whole entire week. Very strange. And she's getting her suitcase ready. Dinky is. Yes. Dinky's getting her suitcase ready. She asked the counselor to watch those animals for her, which is kind of strange. You don't really know much about the counselor except that she's in some kind of like a long-term relationship and it doesn't really go anywhere. And
that she wrote a book, which Dinky is a fan of.
Yep. That's right. Anyway, but the counselor feels like she is starting to understand her because she's been watching Dinky for a long time. So anyway, it's nearing it. Jeff Daniels runs into Gerald and is talking to Gerald, and Gerald is the kid, and so he says, Gerald, do you care about Dinky? And he says, more than anything. He's like, okay, I can't say anymore. Buy her something nice. Give her flowers, give her candy, whatever it is. Okay, just do it.
So Gerald gets racist for himself and says, these are from Dinky.
And Gerald's father's a dentist.
Yes.
I never understood that, by the way.
What?
About the braces.
What do you mean?
Why he got braces for himself instead of something else for her.
He's a weird kid.
I just thought it was funny. Maybe he thought that she would swoon over him because he looks better with braces. I don't know.
No, I just think that he's a weird kid.
That is weird. So the day comes, everybody is having this huge party at it's a school, right? I think.
I'm not sure. It's someplace, it's like a gathering spot for the town.
Right. It's this gathering spot, and there's like this, everybody's anticipating her arrival. This limo is waiting outside.
This limo pulls up.
Pulls up.
I love this.
Yes, this limo pulls up, and they're waiting for her to step out. The limo driver steps out, and they're like, hey, where's Roxy? Where is she? What's going on? And you see this box with a card that says, Roxy Carmichael will not be attending the ball that is made in her honor. Instead, she wants her fans to enjoy it without her, whatever it was. It was really weird.
But she's contributed this plaque.
Yeah, she's given a dedication plaque. And meanwhile, Dinky's outside. She sees the limo and Jeff Daniels' character. And she goes, oh no, I gotta look for her. I gotta see the limo. I gotta find her. She's coming for me. She's like, no, she's not coming. She's like, why? And she's like, why is she not here? And he said, she's my mother. I have to go away with my mother. She's coming to get me. And he's like, she's not coming to get you because the baby died. And she is completely upset and she's heartbroken. And he's like, I'm sorry. It didn't live very long. The baby was very premature. I left the baby at the hospital. I prayed that the baby would be blessed, and the baby died.
And he ended up burying the baby.
Yes. So she's heartbroken. But
she walks away with her suitcases. And one of them comes open. A bunch of stuff comes out of it that I believe looks like candy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the end of the movie, babe.
Well, no. Okay. She ends up with Gerald at the end of the movie.
Oh, you're correct. I'm sorry.
They're eating ice cream.
Right.
They're eating
It's the next day.
Yeah.
She's been thinking, and she goes over to his house. and is looking at him through his window and says, I want to get something to eat. And they eat some Dryers, I believe.
Oh, yum ice cream. Yummy.
Or Briars or however you
Dryers ice cream, I think. Yes. Whatever it is, good ice cream. And they're eating, and then I think he wants to kiss her. Or I don't remember who does it, but she agrees and they end up kissing. And didn't you say that they were at the end of the movie there's ice cream on her lip?
Yes.
Now, I want you to talk about some of the funny things you saw that were not part of the main plot, but you thought they were really funny. About like the store with Jeff Daniels in the store and her parents, Dinky's parents, getting caught canoodling and.
Okay, so let's talk about Jeff Daniels.
Yep.
He wants his pants hemmed.
Mm-hmm.
This is a few hours before Miss Carmichael is scheduled to arrive. So he goes to the store. This lady's looking at his pants. She's telling a little bit about her boyfriend who's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
She's down on her knees. And her boyfriend sees through the glass door that she's on her knees. And it looks like she might be giving Jeff Daniels a really fun experience. So he breaks in and he kind of punches Jeff Daniels out. I thought that was really, really fun.
Now, what about that one scene where Dinky was by the train station? The parents are kind of looking for a spot to canoodle in.
They are canoodling.
They are canoodling. They're canoodling in the train station, right?
Presumably, yeah. It doesn't look like a typical train station, but it's probably like some sort of like small store that's by the station. And
Dinky sees it.
Yes.
And she's like, ew, that's gross.
That was gross. That was a fun scene, though.
Yeah, right.
I like the Jeff Daniels scene a lot, though. And then there's a scene where his son's playing with his mashed potatoes. Yeah. And it's the scene where him and his wife finally get into the argument. He just throws stuff off at the table.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. It's, you oftentimes say that I have a really weird taste in movies.
Yes, and you also have a weird sense of humor as well.
But this movie is weird, and you were the one who liked it.
Well, I do like some weird movies. My movies aren't always square, and or rather linear, and
What are some other weird films you like?
Let me think. I gotta think. Let me think here. There's a lot. None's coming to mind. I'm sorry.
Okay.
None. I know that there are a lot. I know that there are weird films that I do like, but I can't think of any right now.
I thought this was a really good movie.
I thought it was good too. I've always liked it.
I mean, I'm surprised I never even heard about it until like a couple weeks ago when you brought it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm so glad I got to see this.
Yes, it is good.
I could see how if I had seen this as a kid, this would have become like a childhood favorite.
Right.
It would have gone on to the, top 20 list of regular watches.
Well, some people would say that Edward Scissorhands is a weird movie, but I like it.
It is a weird movie.
That's another weird movie I like with Winona Ryder is Edward Scissorhands.
Okay, fair enough, babes.
And Johnny Depp, yeah.
Yes.
Well, Cry Baby was a weird movie too.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Though.
I did like it. It was weird.
I read the Wikipedia page for the director.
Yeah.
When I was trying to sleep last night.
Yes.
I think his name is Jim Adams.
Yeah.
I think it said that he was like one of the producers of Cry Baby. Yeah.
It was, I haven't seen it in so long, but I do remember that I liked it.
It's a good movie.
And tell me, Cry Baby, that came out in 1988, right?
Something like, I want to say 90, somewhere in that area. And it's basically a take on 50s rock films, like the old Elvis movies.
Right. Cry,
a parody
go on, cry. Yep.
It's a good film, though.
It's very strange.
Yes.
There's one Johnny Depp movie that I haven't seen, but I heard good things about it. It's called Chocolat.
I've seen it. It's good. I don't remember much about it, except that I went to watch it with a friend of mine, and we both really had a good time watching it.
Finding Neverland is a really good one, too.
I haven't seen it.
He's really good as J.M. Barrie.
So, but getting back to Roxy Carmichael.
Yes.
What were your thoughts about it as a child versus how you view the film today?
I think I have a little more... I think I have a little more perspective on it today because when I was a kid, I didn't understand why this girl would be looking for something that obviously it wasn't how she wanted it to be. I think about it how like, well, if I was a teenager now, thinking about like maybe to my 15, 16-year-old self, and I knew that I was adopted from when I was very young and looking for my mother, how would I feel if in the place where I thought my mother was going to be, she was no longer she wasn't only, not that she wasn't, how do I say this? It isn't that she wasn't just only not my mother, but the baby died. So she couldn't have been my mother and she's not coming. And I think I mean, I didn't think about that when I was a kid. I just liked it. I was disappointed when she didn't show up, but I didn't understand why.
This film has everything from dead babies to braces.
To missing mothers.
To goats.
To goats, to dogs, to pigs.
It's a really good movie.
Salons. Yep.
Yeah.
It's salons and failing marriages. Yeah.
To the daughter from Empty Nest.
Right. She was interesting. She played... Yep, she supposedly played her best friend, but towards the end of the movie, she says, I could care less about what Roxy says or does.
Right. But meanwhile, she's at the celebration.
Yeah.
You know, celebrating the life of a woman who was mentioned in one song.
In Roxy's eyes.
Yeah. And they're making it like she's the president or something.
I know. Or something, you know, some esteemed person, whoever it is, like...
The bar is set really low for celebrity in this movie.
Yeah, because when they went to didn't you say that they went to her house and there was like food on the table?
Yes.
Where she used to eat her meals.
And the lady's giving a tour of the house.
And it was implied that she, well, I guess, didn't she say something like she had her meals served and it was implied that she was rich?
I don't remember that.
Or she had meals served to her, but there was already food on the table.
It's possible. I was kind of like asleep during that point, but there was food on the table. Yes.
It's really funny.
But overall, I thought this was a really, really solid movie.
I wonder if it's just like a funny take on how celebrities are so can really impact a person.
I could see that.
Yeah. How you hope that when you meet this celebrity, they can take away all of your problems, but in fact, they don't show up, and you still have to deal with your problems.
Well, and even if they do, because in Jeff Daniels' case, yeah, he's not seeing Roxy that night, but he already spent many years with her.
That's right.
You know, but it didn't mean that he didn't have things that he still had to deal with.
Right.
And in fact, one could make the argument that Roxy made his life worse.
Uh-huh.
Because he's thinking of her so much that it's to the detriment of his wife and children.
Right. And he had to pay that price. He had to pay the price.
Yes.
And I wonder if in his mind he knew that she wasn't going to come anyway. And he had to burn. Maybe he was burning, and we don't know exactly what he was burning or why.
And that could just be because we're blind and we can really see it that well too. So it may be obvious that it was a picture of Roxy Carmichael if you're a sighted person. So let's put that in perspective.
Right. But maybe if he was getting rid of things, maybe he was trying to get rid of that, the physical stuff, to get rid of all of her, in order for him to get rid of all of her memories.
That's possible.
Okay.
I was taking a writer's workshop in Kona.
Yep.
Back in 2003.
Cool.
And the teacher said something about an author, and I wish I remember who it was, but this person committed suicide after burning all of their writings.
Oh, wow.
And apparently that's a common thing with writers who are going to kill themselves. They'll burn everything that they created right before, finishing their lives.
But you can't remember the writer?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't even remember if it was a friend of hers or if it was somebody famous. But in a sense, you could say, possibly, that Jeff Daniels is killing off his own life. Which brings me to another question, Jaylo.
Mm-hmm.
Did the baby die? Or did Jeff Daniels tell Dinky that as a way of killing off his connection to Roxy?
I think the baby did die.
Okay.
I think the baby did die, but that was also used as a way for her to move on with her life. Because Roxy wasn't going to be there for her. And now she had to look to the people around her.
Well,
that care. Because remember when the counselor said, there are people there that care about you. There are people around you that care about you, and you have to give them a chance. I know I'm butchering it.
Right.
But she was so obsessed with looking for Roxy Carmichael because she wanted a way out of her life.
Let's imagine for a minute.
Yes.
That Jeff Daniels lied.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he misled her because he couldn't be a father to her.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he lied to her because he knew what type of person Roxy was.
And that she wasn't going to follow through.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just this phony baloney celebrity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, another question I had. Roxy abandoned this kid.
Yes.
And we're led to believe that she never talked to Jeff Daniels after leaving the town.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's stopping Winona Ryder from reaching out and saying, I'm your daughter? Because Roxy doesn't know if the kid survived or didn't.
True. Maybe she just didn't know what to do, and because Roxy Carmichael week was going on, maybe she thought that, okay, well, I'm just going to meet her, I'm going to have all my stuff, and she's just going to take me away from everything. Maybe that was the easiest way for her to get in touch with or get in contact with Roxy Carmichael was through that week. That's how I see it anyway.
Experiencing her life through the people who knew her, but not actually getting that motherly relationship. Because Roxy could be incapable of being a good mother. She can't show up for Jeff Daniels, her alleged real daughter. So why would she show up for Winona Ryder?
Exactly. Right.
Yes.
She let the baby die in the hospital. I mean, she would probably let her relationship die with Dinky, if any. If that ever happened.
Yeah.
But that will never happen. And so maybe that was a way for her to finally move on and get back to the land of the living.
It's possible, Jeez.
Right. That's how I see it.
Very good. I'm glad you showed me this picture.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. I always liked it.
Yes.
And there was some weird stuff in it, but it was really funny and great.
Unfortunately, we will not be doing movie night for a while because of your relative, and we will also be putting the recording on hold for a few weeks. But you never know, some special stuff may appear in the podcast feed.
Well, something and things could change. I mean, this is of course. I will be keeping in contact with said relative during the week, so we'll have to stay tuned for that, I guess.
Did you have any dreams last night, Alana?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I'm getting on with my book. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Nice.
It's very good.
Do you want to elaborate or no?
Not really.
Okay.
Well, I'll just say that it's the third book in the Anne of Green Gables series. It's called Anne of the Island. And the basic premise right now is that Anne is not teaching anymore in Avonlea, which is a town that is right next door to Green Gables, which is a country farmhouse that she lived in with Marilla Cuthbert, who was her guardian along with her brother Matthew Cuthbert, who has died since then. And so now she and some of her friends are going to Redmond College. I forgot where it's located. It's somewhere in Canada, I think, in the book.
Very nice, babes.
And this is, I'm like in chapter 10, I think. So it's kind of going, talking about her years at Redmond right now and other adventures that she's having. So anyway.
Is there anything else you want to say? Maybe give some inspiration.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't think of anything inspiring. What do you?
I don't know. I'm kind of tired. Are you tired? Do you feel awake?
I actually feel awake.
Oh, good.
I feel awake. I'm sorry that you don't feel so much awake. I know you've been having some, issues.
Yes.
But hopefully that now that you have a little bit of something in your system,
yes,
you don't feel as bad.
So maybe we should make out after this.
Yeah.
And then watch an episode of DS9.
Yeah.
And then you give me some stuff and I'll get out of your hair.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we can also cuddle too, babe.
All right.
All right.
I don't want you to get out of my hair completely, but I do have other things to do as well.
Oh.
Yeah, and you gotta spend your own time,
Yeah, I gotta unwind a little bit.
Go to take a nap.
Take a nap, all that good stuff.
All that.
Prepare for the Instacart order that's coming tomorrow morning.
I'm thinking I might order something tonight.
Very good.
For later on today.
Yes.
And do some other things. Yeah.
Yes. Well, do you want to give me a kiss?
Of course. Why not? Okay, stop.
Okay.
That's our running gag, isn't it?
No, that's your running gag. Okay.
I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.
Yes. Until next time.
Until next time, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.